Hey there. Welcome back to the pod. We're going to talk about DeAndre Ayton because we like to do that. It's something that we actually have legitimate, somewhat, I don't know if I'd even say it's a disagreement. I guess you could go as far as calling it a disagreement. There's some debate, some healthy debate amongst the three of us as to whether Ayton is the center of the future for the Blazers, whether his play has been adequate this season, et cetera, et cetera. In the last game against the Toronto Raptors, he did drop a monster 30 points, 19 rebounds against Kelly Olynyk, and shot a good percentage. He had a bunch of big dunks. We got Scoot back. Hopefully, they can continue to build their chemistry. Riley, what have you seen from Aiden lately? Is it changing your mind? Are you wavering even a little bit?
We're in this situation with DeAndre Ayton this year where I feel like every time he puts up a decent performance, there's this question of like, are you ready to apologize now? Are you ready to apologize now?
Who's
Are
doing
you ready
that?
to apologize now? Because of the fact that the guy can play basketball when he wants to. I mean, I think if you talk to Phoenix Suns fans for the last however long, 5 years, 6 years, they would tell you the same thing. The guy can play basketball when he wants to, and he definitely has a tendency to show up against suboptimal centers and to show up against, guys that are listed maybe a little taller than they should be and are playing out of position a little bit more than they should be. Because yeah, I mean, he has to dominate Kelly Olynyk. He has to. I mean, to be an NBA center at his size, if he wasn't able to put up big numbers against that kind of matchup, he wouldn't even be in the league. That said, 30 points, 19 rebounds, good for him. That's awesome. He's put up some good performances lately. He looked pretty good against Charlotte and okay against Denver, even. But, he definitely did lose to Jokic in multiple ways. I mean, it was a loss of a game. He scored 22 points, but he looked like he was getting used throughout a lot of it. And Jokic did everything he wanted to do. So, yeah, DeAndre Ayton just is limited. He's limited against the best players in the league. He is able to put up decent numbers when he's the only option out there. Scoot's back, but he's not really playing that much yet. He's only played a few minutes in the last game. Banton put up huge numbers too, and I wouldn't say that Banton is our starting point guard of the future either. So I'd put DeAndre and Banton on equal footing for their responsibility in that win against Toronto. Um, and yeah, I'm not ready to apologize to Aiton yet, but good game, big guy.
Well, here's what I'll say. We kind of talked about this last time, but one, stop hating on Aiton, okay? You go back the last month, over a month, two bad games out of a month. The rest were dominating, all of them. I mean, what more can you want from him, right? Look at the field goal percentage, look at the rebounding. He brings, steals, he gets some blocks. Like, I don't know what more the guy can do. You know, he's just going to continuously put up what 20 and 12 every game on 60% from the field, and then everyone's like, nope, you're not good enough. I don't know, but uh yeah, it was against Kelly Olynyk, but that's the flip side of the coin is if he has a bad game, then you go, oh, it's against Kelly Olynyk. He did what he was supposed to do and then some, and he looked good doing it. What did you say, Kirby, when you were starting this video off? What did he have? Multiple huge dunks. I think earlier in the season we were saying dunk the ball, dunk the ball. Last game he was crashing to the rim and
True.
throwing down some huge dunks.
It's true.
The common, counterpoint against Ayton a lot of time, free throws. If the guy is dunking the ball and he has 5, 6 dunks in a game, but he shoots zero free throws, do we bash him for that? I don't think so, right? I just he had a good game and he was attacking the rim and he just didn't get a free throw, but he was smashing home some big
One
dunks.
thing I
So
think in situations, there's kind of a couple different situations he could be in a game where there's not really a big body in there to crash against him. He's going to have a lot more dunks and fewer free throws, but you'd like that to translate to when he's playing against a guy in there who's being physical with him, maybe less dunks, but because he's still trying to dunk and going in strong, you would get more free throws.
Well,
Or
my counterpoint to that is he against the likes of Rudy Gobert, Jokic, Valanciunas, going down the line the last month, all the centers, Brooke Lopez, who else? Wemby, Joel Embiid, go on down the line. And he look at the production. It's efficiency at its finest. Who cares if he's taking mid-rangers, if he's shooting above 55% every game? I mean, like I said, he had 2 bad games in a month. One was against the best defense in the league in the Minnesota Timberwolves, and another one was against Jokic. And to the point about Jokic can do whatever he wants, he can do that against any single player in the league, including Embiid, including the top centers of the league. He makes everyone look stupid. So I don't hold that against Ayton, especially when he's got a shell of a team around him. I'm not going to hold a loss to the Denver Nuggets against Ayton, either 2 road game losses, by the way, in Denver. Toughest place to play because of Mile High. So I don't know. I'm
your
not.
free throw point has got me looking at his stats. That's interesting that he has so few free throws. Like, imagine if he could get that number up into the five or, he's averaging like 1 free throw a game. Imagine if he could get that up into the 5, 6, 7 range, then he could be putting up monster numbers on a regular basis. Like, he could be putting up in the mid 20s if he could figure out a way to draw contact. I wonder if that's just a result of the style that he plays, or if he is shying away from contact a little bit, or if he needs to, if he can work on like his fake game, his ability to get guys up in the air and get people out of position and off timing and stuff, because that could be a huge difference maker going forward. I'm kind of in the position where I'm sort of reserving judgment at this point. I don't really think there's much to be gained from judging this part of the season. It's like it's just so hard to tell what's going on with, there's the guys that are playing out there, the fact that they're not even really trying to win the games right now. It's tough, and with just the lack of consistency, it seems like he's playing, a game every couple of weeks or whatever, or a few games every couple of weeks. So it's really going to come down to next year, how he can fit in with those guys, start off the season, if they can gain any momentum, if him and Scoot can build any chemistry, if him and Simons, because obviously at the beginning of this season, there was a lot to be desired from him to start the season. He really didn't come out like I think a lot of people hoped, but he has been putting it together more and more lately. So if he can translate that moving forward, keep putting up these numbers with a competitive, or at least a more competitive team around him, maybe up the free throw numbers, it's going to be interesting to see. I hope that he can, because if he can develop into a really solid piece as a center, that just frees up so much more opportunity for the Blazers to look elsewhere in the draft, to for the guards and everyone else to build chemistry with them, get spacing around him, et cetera, et cetera.
Got to get the free throw numbers up. It's crazy for a guy his size to be getting 1 free throw a game. That's pretty unacceptable. Look at what, and I know you can't compare every center to Joel Embiid, but I mean, look at the guys that size who can get to the line kind of at will. I mean, that's just takes you to a whole other level of ability. And yeah, I mean, his production would go way up. He could score 30 points a game regularly if he was going to the line.
I would argue that as of right now on the entire season, he's 14th in the league in field goal percentage. And I wouldn't necessarily say he gets as many opportunities as some of the guys above him in that list, but what point does your efficiency overcome not shooting free throws?
It seems like the efficiency should lead into free throws, though. Like,
No, it's mid-range though.
if you're unstoppable, then you should be demanding double teams and demanding, pump faking, getting people out of position. It's just bizarre that he's only getting like a free throw a game. it seems like that efficiency would, again, it could have a lot to do with the people around him. Maybe that no one's just care. They're just sort of letting him get to his spots and get those shots. But it seems like in the future, at some point, if he's that efficient, they're gonna have to send somebody down there. They're gonna have to do something, figure out a way to get the ball out of his hands. That would be cool. I hope that they could do that ends up happening.
It would help. I get what you guys are saying. I'm just saying, I don't know if you can fault a guy when you're almost top 10 in the league in efficiency. Like if you're scoring hyper efficient, top 15 player in the world, I mean, just give him more opportunities then. If you want more points, like I get
Seems
it.
like
Those are nice. They stop the clock, they give you points, but you're almost the top 50, you're a top 15 player in the world in scoring efficiency. It's not like you're jacking up shots. I mean, why do you need free throws at that rate?
I have to imagine everyone else on that list gets more than one free throw a game.
On the efficiency rate, probably, but
yeah, it's just bizarre. I honestly don't have an answer to it. It's not even necessarily a critique. It's just like if those numbers could go up, it seems like it would if he's shooting such a high percentage and they continue to hopefully they develop the system around him and continue to get him as many touches, as many opportunities as they can. And those, if that's a factor and he's like scoring massive amounts of efficiently and wins, you gotta eventually they're gonna start hacking the dude, right?
I think it's just because he takes such a high percentage of mid-range shots, and he's like a top 3 mid-range shooter in the league, and he can just shoot over players that are smaller. I mean, it's a butter mid-range, and that's why he's not getting free throws because half of his, most of his points come off that. But if he makes it at a top rate in the league, stop him then. Just stop him. Like you said, foul him when he's shooting a jump shot.
Yeah.
I mean, I
We can
get what you
hope.
guys are saying. Like, yes, free throws always help, but I'm gonna counterpoint and just say it's not like he's Nurkic finishing right now and not getting free throws. He's efficient, hyper efficient when he gets the ball and when he takes shots.
You got to imagine part of this too is just that the lack of competitive play, the lack of, players around him that are real threats. I think a lot of teams are probably just kind of letting him get his and just sort of living with the results, living with mid-range jumpers is kind of the tale of the NBA these days, not allowing threes, not allowing dunks. So that's sort of frees up that mid-range game. And if you can pepper that in, it's nice, but I don't necessarily know if it leads to like winning basketball. Maybe we'll see next year, see if that strategy works out and pays off. Interesting conversation here today, fellas. Let us know in the comments down below what you think of Ayton. Who, which side are you on here? What's maybe fill us in on some of the questions we had about some of that stuff and what you hope to see from him next year, what you hope to see moving forward. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.
Bye.